Thanks for having me on. I think that entirely depends who you speak to, but I'll certainly take it if you want to give it. But I think there are some leadership contenders that would probably suggest that they're in a better position than I am.
Well, we'll come to them in just a second. Of course, your party got hammered at the polls a week last Thursday. Why do you think that took place?
Well, we lost the election last week because of the perception within the public that we'd lost all sort of competence to be able to run effective government. We'd lost the trust of the British people, and that was a long tale of U-turns, of infighting, of changing prime ministers. And again, I talked about this over the last week since the election. I hope that the Conservative Party learns that lesson rather than the lesson that someone to suggest was the one that we need to learn from the election, which is that we need to lurch more to the left or the right. I think that completely misses the point. I don't think, particularly in hindsight, there is a set of policy we put to the public. We could have had the best manifesto in the world, but I do think we would have lost this election. Again, not because of the ideology, but because I think people were fed up and they just thought, irrespective of what we promised, they didn't think that we were actually being able to deliver on those promises. We've broken that trust, we've broken that confidence in the British public, and that's what we need to get back to, because that is one of the core principles of a successful Conservative government. Sometimes people don't like it, sometimes people vote for us through gritted teeth, but actually they vote for us because we are very, very effective at governing, and we've lost that, and if we don't bring that back, then I think we'll condemn ourselves to many, many years in opposition.
So you're warning the party not to lurch more to the left, or certainly not to lurch to the right, as you just said. But how do you restore a reputation for competence, not just when you're in opposition, but when, as things stand, the party hasn't even been able to agree how to run its leadership contest for the next candidate?
Well, it's going to take time, and these things happen because let's not underestimate the scale of the defeat that we had last week. That's changed the party makeup within Parliament. It's had a huge impact on Conservative headquarters and the membership at large. And so there is a reflection period that we're going to have. That's going to take time. We can't get our act together just in the first few weeks after such a historic defeat. We need to be able to reflect sensibly on it. We need to, again, start to learn the right lessons from it and start to build from there. We've got some time. We now have a government that has a significant majority. It doesn't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon. But we do need to get there relatively quickly, because without a successful and competent opposition, I think Parliament in and of itself starts to break down and doesn't work as effectively as it could do. But we've got some time. There's work that needs to be done. But the important thing is what comes out of this leadership contest. We need to make sure we find the right leader to navigate us through what is going to be a very, very difficult time, to try and unite the party, because as with any political party, there are different factions and different groups that we should think in different ways. And that first test, because the next couple of years are going to be very difficult for the Conservative Party to find itself again, what it means to govern effectively, what it wants to offer to the public over the next 4 or 5 years. And so the next 18 months are going to be a treacherous one for the Conservative Party.
Lord Houchen, you just suggested the leadership race should be a bit like, Goldilocks. It shouldn't be too long, but it shouldn't be too short. Do you think the leader needs to be in place by the party conference in the autumn?
I certainly think there or thereabouts. I can understand from some people that they think that there should be some sort of additional process that could take place at conference, whether that could be a hustings or something. But I think certainly in the first half of October we need to be getting to a place where we do have a leader in place. I think the honest answer is we know roughly, don't we, the likely candidates who are going to put themselves forward for the leadership contest. I think some have probably already declared. If they haven't, it's pretty obvious. They're pretty well known to the Conservative Party. We roughly know where they stand in the Conservative Party spectrum. Yes, there's a process to go through for them to be able to put themselves forward to say what would they would offer a new Conservative Party. But the idea we need a long and protracted process that gets into some sort of existential crisis about what the Conservative Party stands for and what these leadership contenders stand for would be a waste of time, because, like I say, they're going to be relatively well known to us. There may be a couple of wild cards that decide to put themselves forward that could try and change that dynamic ever so slightly. But again, if we have it too long, and we look and we navel gaze for too long, that's going to turn off the public even more, because it again feeds into that perception that we're more concerned about the ongoings of the Conservative Party rather than what the public care about, which is how do we help improve their lives, how do we help improve our communities, and how do we help improve local public services.
And given that they're already pretty much well known, as you've said, do you know who you will back yet? And have they been on the phone begging for your vote?
I honestly don't know who I'm going to be backing yet. I think it would be remiss of me to try and pretend otherwise, Laura, but absolutely a number of the contenders have already been contacting me, and over the coming weeks I'll be meeting with them because they've asked to meet with me to discuss their intentions. But we'll have to wait and see what happens, because again, while lots of the contenders I think are pretty well known to most people, it will depend on what they're offering for this Conservative Party is going to be, because we are in a new world. The Conservative Party is very different to the one it was just a few weeks ago, and so while those people are familiar to us, we also need to understand what their positions are on rebuilding the Conservative Party, what the hard yards are going to be that they're going to put in over the next 12, 18 months, 24 months to be able to rebuild the Conservative Party from within, but also start to reach out to the public to be able to rebuild that trust and confidence, which, let's be honest, is going to take a significant period of time.
And once upon a time, there was a well-known prominent mayor in a big city in England who ended up using that platform to become the Conservative leader. That was one Boris Johnson. Would you rule out having a tilt at it yourself one day?
Yeah, I mean, it's not for me. I'm very proud of the role that I play as mayor in Teesside. I just don't think it's not really for me. My job is the one that I've got. This is a dream job for me. I think the Conservative Party can play a lot of good in the discourse of the country. I think we can do a lot of good things for the country. I think we've got to get back to that, and I think I can play a significant role in helping the Conservative Party rebuild itself and be a fighting force when it comes to the political election, whether in the next election or the one after that. But again, there are many more people in Westminster who are much more ambitious and qualified than I am, so I'll leave it to them for now.
Okay, Lord Houchen, thank you very much. It's great to have you on the programme with us, and do come back once we see what happens with Keir Starmer's plans to give you and mayors around the country more power. It'll be interesting in the next few months to see who that pans out. But we'll let you go and check your phone and see if